Hi, welcome to Make It with Mod Podge. My name's Cathie and today I'm going to show you how you create this adorable faux paper mache pumpkin display, and this has got a really cool vintage vibe going on. To create that look, I'm using tissue toilet paper. You could also use Kleenex or paper towels, and I'm going to use matte Mod Podge, and that's going to create this cool texture plus these raised edges. It's a super easy technique. I'm going to show you how you do this vintage painting look, plus we're going to be doing decoupage on one of these hat boxes with paper and matte Mod Podge. All right, let's get started. I love the vintage look of this pumpkin and the faux paper mache technique. It's super simple, and I'm going to break down all the steps for you. We're going to use a plastic pumpkin and a small hat box, toilet paper tissue, matte Mod Podge, and a little spritz of water for this project. To get started, we're going to create a snake. So I'm cutting off a piece of the tissue, and then I'm just giving it a light mist of water, not saturating it, just a little bit, and then I'm adding the matte Mod Podge. Don't worry if it gets torn up like this. We're going to smush it into a tube or snake shape, and it can break apart because we're going to piece it together onto the pumpkin. Give it a little mist, kind of twist it, and add a little bit more Mod Podge. Then we're going to add Mod Podge to our plastic pumpkin pail and start to outline our features with the snake that we just made. If you want to roll it and make it look perfect, you can do that. I wanted to have more character and a little bit more rustic look, so I did not do a perfect shaped snake. You can see I've outlined all my features. And now I want to do a faux paper mache on the outside. So I'm just tearing up that toilet paper, adding Mod Podge. I'm going to glue over all of the different features, and that will kind of smooth out some of those spaces. You can see that I misted with water, and then I'm adding the Mod Podge on top. Give it a little mist, add more Mod Podge, and then we're just gonna keep doing that all the way around the pumpkin. And I'm overlapping the pieces as I go. I only did one layer on this pumpkin. You could do several layers if you want to, but in my opinion, you really only need to do this step one time if you're gonna be painting. You can use the brush to really go in and help shape out those different shapes. You can see how I'm moving it to just keep that good kind of corner smile. Go ahead and keep adding the Mod Podge, and then just keep adding the pieces. Add more Mod Podge and mist it with a little bit of water. And we'll go ahead and keep layering those pieces on each other. In traditional decoupage, you don't need to mist it. This is what it looks like when it's dry. And we're gonna cut off any extra pieces that are on the top there, and then we'll be ready to paint. So for the painting, I'm using 4 different colors of orange. I'm going in with my base coat first. That's kind of a light to medium. This color is actually called pumpkin. So I'm just gonna coat the whole thing with the pumpkin color first. Then I'm gonna go in and start painting the features. So I'm gonna paint the insides of the eyes black, the nose and the mouth. And this is multi-surface paint by Faux. It works perfect for this project. These are the Mod Podge detail paint brushes. Those come 10 in a set. So that's really easy to work with and get into all those little nooks and crannies. And here I'm doing a little bit of an off-white color to finish out the mouth. And you can see here with just one color of orange paint, it looks very pretty, but I want to layer this up and give it more of a vintage vibe. Here I'm using a stencil brush, and this color is called Poppy, and I'm painting a rough paint down each of those little lines that came on the pumpkin pail. We're going to highlight those. And this is a real rough paint. It's a really good idea to use a chip brush or a stencil brush here. And I'm gonna go ahead and outline the top edge too with that same color. And then I'm gonna dry brush over the whole thing with a lighter version. So it's the same color, but I'm not putting it on very heavy. I'm just doing a light paint there. Just kind of smearing it on. Next, I'm gonna make a mix of Mod Podge and the glazed carrot orange. And I should say when I did that base coat, I added another little orange in there too. And now I'm going to mix that together, and this is a damp paper towel, and we're going to sponge or tap this all over the whole pumpkin, and that's gonna soften those lines but give it a real vintage rustic look. So you can really see how layering up these oranges gives you really good texture, beautiful colors. Okay, let's move on to our next step, and that is our paper in Mod Podge. I got one of these paper packs, and first I'm gonna measure on the hot box. That was 24 inches. So you just wanna divide by however many prints you wanna use. I wanted to do sort of a checkerboard look, so I'm doing a bunch of different prints. And you wanna cut your paper so that it's a little bit overhangs on the top and the bottom there, because we're gonna wrap that to the inside and to the bottom. So I'm gonna add some of the matte Mod Podge to the back of the paper, and then we'll just place it centered across the paper mache hat box there. And you can see I've got the overhang on the bottom and on the top. So we'll smooth with our fingers to press that down. I am gonna top coat this, but I'm not gonna top coat until all of the papers are down, and I'm gonna wait about a half hour before I top coat. So trim some of those edges, add a little bit more Mod Podge. Trimming them makes it so that it is very smooth when it's going over the top and bottom edge. Go ahead and press that down. And then we'll do the same thing at the top, making a few clips here and there, adding some more Mod Podge to the inside, and then wrapping those papers to the inside. It's much easier if you do the little clips. All right, the first one's down, and then for the next one, I'll just go right next to it, and we'll repeat that process until the entire hat box is covered. You could do one all over print if you wanted to, but when I was researching and looking at some of these vintage things, I really loved some of the old style Halloween quilts, so I was kind of going for an old quilted look here. Then we're gonna top coat. Like I said, I let this thoroughly dry before I top coated, and that helps with wrinkles. And it's a good idea to do your brush strokes all going in one direction. Now for the hat box lid, I'm cutting some smaller strips, but again, we're gonna do that same thing where we want a little extra on each side because we'll wrap it to the top and to the bottom. So go ahead and add the Mod Podge to that strip, and then I'll place it right onto the hat box lid. And we'll do that working all the way around the lid, the edge of the lid. You have a little time to play around if you need to pick it up and move it. And same thing, we'll do those clips, and then we'll Mod Podge that to the top and then to the inside of the lid. This is really easy to do. And I'm using scrapbook paper here, but you could use wrapping paper, magazine cutouts, whatever you wanted to. And for the very top of it, I traced the top and I cut a circle shape, and we're going to Mod Podge that to the very top. And really only the edge of that is going to be seen, but it's easiest just to glue down a whole piece. So go ahead and add Mod Podge to that, and then place it right on top and smooth with your fingers. I did top coat this, so I did wait about 20 minutes before top coating. That just gives the paper a chance to settle if it has any wrinkles or bubbles. Now I wanted to add some trim. Again, going with that vintagey theme, I'm doing some lace and some rickrack, just hot gluing that around the band of the hat box. Glue that down. I'm using my Mod Podge finger cap so I don't burn my hands. Look how cute that turns out. It's so cute on its own. But let's go ahead and hot glue our pumpkin to that. Just hot gluing that in the center. And then I'm finishing it off by adding some ribbons and trims across the top of it, just repeating that rickrack. We'll go all the way around the top. And then I had some scrap ribbons, so I thought, well, let's just make a cute little tassel for the edge. So I'm gonna tie that off. And then I found a bat ring. I cut off the ring part, a little plastic bat, and I'm gluing that down. This turned out so cute, and I really love how the layers of paint and the different paper prints really pull the whole project together. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you make one of these designs, make sure you tag us in it so we can see your creations. I'll be back here next week with another fun project to share with you. And until then, have a super crafty week. Bye.